Sun. It's feeling great.
Awesome, right? How hot is it with you? We're in 100-degree heat right now in California. What's it like out where you are?
Jeez. Uh, it's not so much 100 anymore. Like a couple weeks ago, it was like 113, but I think this week the highest was like 90, maybe 98. It's
Yeah,
not too bad. Today was a little cooler than most days because of all the rain we've been having.
right. But you guys have all the humidity out there though, right?
Yeah. And that's what's been killing everybody. Like the sun
Yeah.
might not be out, but that humidity does something to you.
Yeah. It's like living in a sauna, right?
Yeah. But I like it. I would prefer this than the cold, any kind of cold any day. So
Okay. Well, hey, let me do your intro. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here on another episode of Raise the Bar. This is our special Labor Day weekend edition. I'm talking with Tyra Gittens. She is, did I get your name right? Did I get the correct?
yeah.
Okay. And Tyra is reading that you're from Trinidad and Tobago, and
Hmm.
you're competing here in the U.S. at Texas A&M. Are you still at Texas A&M?
No, 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 no. I graduated from Texas A&M. I'm
Okay,
done.
so
It's, yeah.
done with them, and you made the Olympic team in 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I was reading through there, the the account was a little confusing because it was talking about you're doing so many things. I think the whoever wrote the Wikipedia was confused. They were talking about high jump, long jump, and heptathlon. So you obviously do a little bit of everything. And what was the event that you made it into the games for? Was it the long jump?
Long jump. Yes. And so I qualified with my 696 in long jump inside a heptathlon. And I also, that hep that I did was or it was during conference. And I was 2 points away from qualifying for the Olympics in the hep. But in that
Right.
hep, I jumped 195, which is a centimeter off from the standard. And then
Right.
in long jump, I got my record for high jump. I mean,
For long.
for open long jump. Yeah.
Wow. So right on the cusp of two other events. So two more points
Yeah.
got you into the HEP and another centimeter
Yeah.
into the high. So
Mm.
wow, you're one of the new breed I've been noticing the last few years in the out of the SEC. Because there's a couple young gentlemen competing, in that same conference that, made the Olympic team that are high jumper, long jumper types.
Yeah.
You're another one, a high jumper, long jumper, heptathlete. So the which one is your best event? Even though you made it in long, would you say that's your best or your favorite or
Hmm. So my favorite might be two different things. I'm gonna hold the phone up here because the sun just got hot. But um, I would say, let me think. My favorite would have to be the heck overall. But my best would have to be okay. Best as in like world ranking, it is long jump.
uh-huh.
But best as I feel the most comfortable, it's definitely high jump. High jump is the event that comes the most natural to me. I can do it with my eyes closed. Like, like
Right.
it's something that is just so natural that I just don't really have to think about. So
Okay. So now you're from Trinidad, Tobago. Where did you grow up, and then how did you get here in the States?
so I'm from a place called Saint Augustine, in Trinidad, which it's near the university,
Uh-huh.
UE, University of West Indies. But then my dad, so he in Trinidad is a well-known gospel singer, songwriter, and producer.
Uh-huh.
And so we moved to Nashville, Tennessee, the music,
Right,
and
right.
he did some. I, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but he did work with Amy Grant and just like with some production and stuff like that,
Right.
and so that's kind of how we ended up there.
Okay. And then what about high school now? You grew up in the US in high school, so it wasn't just track and field, right? What other sports did you play?
Oh my gosh, I hated other sports.
Really?
Yeah, the only other sport that I lied. I did gymnastics. Gymnastics was my first sport, and if I would apparently I was too tall, and so like they were kind of trying to push me out of gymnastics,
Right.
and so I was just like, you know what, fine, I don't want to do it anyways. But gymnastics is definitely my first love.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, but high jump comes it's pretty close to gymnastics. I think at least.
Absolutely.
Um, but in high school, I played volleyball. That's because both of my sisters, my older sister, my younger sister, they both went to college for volleyball, and like it was either in my family you were a musician or you did track or track or volleyball. So I
Travel.
did volleyball only because like, you know, just to help out the school, but I hated every second of it.
Really?
Practice, I was such a grumpy pants. I was like, I hate it here. Like
Right.
no, but I used to go to volleyball, and then I would go uh to practice right after like a game or anything, and I'd go practice with Pastor. Oh, I can't talk right now. I would practice track. I
Right.
go to my summer track with precision.
Yeah. That
That's one
was,
today.
well, I've been coaching, athletes for a long time. And the thing that I have with high school kids and volleyball was they do not go together at all. You would think, that the training is similar. Like when I was at UCLA, I trained with some guys that were on the US, both the Bruins, and then they were also US national team members, and guys like Doug Partee, and these guys were huge, 6'5", and they were doing the same kind of workouts we did. They're doing squats and hang cleans, and same plyos, and they jump out of the building. But the kids that I've trained in high school that have that volleyball background, they were always dead tired, number one, when they came to work out, because practices were so long. And you want to talk about overloading your plyometrics. I mean, the whole sport is just jumping all over the place. So, whenever they come to work out, they'd be half dead. And I didn't have the heart, to make them do more jumping, for the day. And lots of times they just didn't have anything left. That's one of my pet peeves as far as sports training goes. I think that both soccer and volleyball, for the most part, have not learned anything yet about load management. Like the way the NBA and the NFL have learned that, it's really important to have everybody be fresh at the end of the year, right? And I'm sure you could tell us volumes about that, being a heptathlete and long jumper and high jumper, what it's like to, overtrain. What has that been like for you? Have you had problems with overtraining? Are there things that you do to avoid overtraining? Like how does that topic work with you?
So I would like to say I have a word for overtraining in my vocabulary, but as a multi, and I've been a multi my whole life, I feel I understand, and my body also understands the workload that I'm doing. So it does take a lot for me to feel like I've been overworked. Now I've been to that point last year after nationals, outdoor nationals. That was the first time in my life where I felt like I did too much and I pushed my body a little too far. And that was my goal last year. I wanted to see what I can do. That's another reason why I continue pushing in the hep and did 9 events every championship, and because I wanted to be the best in the hep and in the open, and I did it, but that came with a cost. And so it's more of a I knew I was doing that to my body. There would never be a situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? Because as an athlete, if you're not self-aware with your body, it's like you're not doing it right. Like if you can't, I mean, you're never gonna be you might not study all of the right scientific words and names for everything in your body, but if I should be able to know what my labrum is, and like I should be able to know, like I can pinpoint, oh, I've had this injury before, oh, this has happened before, and I should know how to pre-rehab or post-rehab. Like there's certain things that any athlete, no matter how old, because that's something that I started at a young age, because it just benefited my sport. It's no fun being out, no fun being injured, and so you're just doing your best. And like in the hep, like being a heptathlete, you have to, like, what I would do is I would do the hep, and then right after the 800 I would long jump would have already been started, so I would have to go put my legs up really quickly. My trainer would have to come over and needle any spots that need to be released, and then I'm like, shoot, let's go. Like like I, like, no matter how tired I am, like because I've trained for it my whole life. I've trained to do multiple events my whole life. Like I know nothing else, and so just like someone trains to run a 5K and you're just like, holy crap, how can you do that? But your body's used to that intensity. And so It's different, but like I said, it's no fun to be injured. So I try to stay on top of those things.
Does
But
that
things do
involve
happen.
does it involve a lot of is ice one of those bad words in your vocabulary? How good are you at icing down after workouts and doing, complete submersion ice,
So
that kind of stuff?
um and I can't speak on everybody, but for me, I have found that ice has kind of it hasn't really benefited me only because after you ice, you shouldn't really be moving around a lot.
Right,
But after as a student athlete, if you take an ice bath, you're probably gonna either walk home or ride your bike home, and that actually causes a lot more injuries and it causes a
right,
lot more things, and it takes it a longer time to heal. And so for me, it's more of like a contrast. I would always end on heat. And like if I had an injury, I would ice it. I said heat it. That's just to help the blood flow because you don't want to just keep ice on it because that's I'm pretty sure there's studies taking that's not really beneficial anymore. You just have
right.
to because it. And so I've gotten I have my own little methods, but I know every like things work for different people, and it's really just trying to find your own method. But like rehab and like recovery for me, it's a lot of water and a lot of sleeping and a
Right.
lot of eating.
Yeah.
And also like my lacrosse ball, I have like 10. My dogs love them. They think I get them for them, but I don't. It's for me. Like,
You roll around. Yeah.
I love to sit on a lacrosse ball. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like sometimes you need it.
Yeah. Wow. So your background in gymnastics, now you're talking about it, and I've had many discussions with both, like you said, the athletic body control involved in high jumping with bar awareness, long jumping, getting through the air
Yeah,
into a decent position, and then pole vaulting. There's
yeah,
there's a lot of I don't know what we call it, a need or a awareness that gymnasts and acrobats make good jumpers, like you said, because number one, they're taught to be explosive and aggressive, and number two, they have excellent body control. They know where
yeah.
their bodies are in space. So I find it
Hmm.
interesting that you had that background and that you're successful both as a high jumper and a long jumper. Not interesting, but almost like a see, this is the
Yeah,
kind of athlete you
there's
should find.
something there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Hmm. So this last year at the World Championships, how did that all pan out?
So this year was a little bit more than track for me. I've had a lot of changes, and a lot of um, relationships that shouldn't have been made. Let's just say that.
Right.
Um, uh, and this year was quite fun, but I learned from. Huh?
Got you
Can
fading
you
in
hear
and
me?
out a little bit.
Uh-oh. Last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I lost
Oh,
you for a
sorry.
little
Hold
bit
on, let
there
me
too.
see.
All
Is
right.
everything good now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you
Can
just
you
cut
hear me
out
now?
for a little bit. Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So you're talking about
Um,
a relationship
but
that shouldn't have
yeah,
been,
this
and
year, yeah, there was a lot of outside noise,
right.
and this year it was about transitions, and this transition was not a smooth one. It was supposed to be, but it was not. And so I just this season was really just to finish it out. There
Mhm.
was some things that like I said, it's just things that had to be fixed, and it was
Right.
taken care of.
So with 2022 now
And
behind you,
so now, now I feel off. Mhm.
so with we're getting a little bit of interference. I'm not sure where, but so with 2022 is behind you now. What are the goals then for 2023? What's on your wish list or your accomplishment list?
Well, it's worlds again, so
Right.
I'm I'm coming for my medal. I knew I wasn't there this year. I wasn't going to be a very strong contender this year, and I accepted that, and I wasn't going to beat myself up about it. but this coming up year, yes, I'm coming back for my medal. um, Next year, it's not even more. It's not even like I want to jump 720 or anything. I just want to get back into my consistency and into my schedule, and I've already started to do that, and so I'm just excited. That's kind of my goal for right now. And then once season is coming approaching, then I'll have different goals, like, but right now I want to get back into my consistency in practice, because I know once my practices are consistent and I'm bringing in a certain type of intensity, I know
Right.
how my season will go. And so right now my main focus is preseason and getting a really, really good preseason training session done. Like, I'm excited to step back when my coaches are like, calm down, Tyra.
Right. So with your season now, you're competing on levels that I dreamed about competing at. When I was in college, I made it to nationals my senior year, one time, and I finished ninth, and that was it. So I missed being an All-American by one spot, and then my college career is over, and I'm into the world of, do I want to train and try to make it to an Olympic trials or whatever? But you've already been, to these things. You've gone to the NCAA finals, you've gone to the trials, you've gone to the Olympics. So you've been to these high levels, and now having stepped up there, like you said, you're talking about getting your medal. How long? The thing that was curious to me was, what's the difference between the college type schedule and then now being an elite athlete? And because when I was at UCLA, we just went wherever they went. You didn't have a whole lot of say in the schedule. You just you had dual meets and you had whatever you did,
Yeah.
and you just did that. And then once you're done, things get a little bit different. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So the biggest change for me has definitely been the time I spent traveling. Because with school, we never go from back to back to back to meet. Now I would probably stay in Europe for like for 2 months. Like this year, I was in Europe for a month. Going
Right.
from meet to meet, and like for Commonwealth, and so I like it was just that was really hard. It was a new experience for me. I've traveled outside the country for meets, but I've never been away for that long.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a new and difficult experience. So that one's different, and also the schedule itself. Um, like I said, you'll probably be in Germany one meet, and then you gotta go to Italy, and then so it's just kind of back to back. And like you might be in Europe from the 5th through the 20th in 4 different countries. So that's
Yeah.
the hard part. And also, you're not competing. You're not just competing for for your uh for your name. It's not your income. This is my actual job. Like, I always considered it my job even in college, only because like I had a full ride. This is my job. This is what
Right.
I'm being paid for, And
Yeah.
so I still have that mindset, but it's still a little more because I'm also competing against everyone else who's been doing this for decades. And like that's also the hot pot experience, because one thing that I learned in the NCAA was that one thing that set me apart is that my experience. I've been making national teams since I was a freshman, and like so NCAA has never really scared me in any slightest, or like I knew how to control my emotions. And so but like but like worlds and then the Olympics, like I was new to that. I felt like a freshman all over. I was like
Yeah.
seeing everyone that I grew up with, and I was like, "Do you need any more?" So I'm so giddy
Right.
about it, because like you grew up. I grew up watching those girls, and it's
Right.
hard to explain, because you're like, I'm about to, I want to beat you, but like I don't want to
Yeah.
disrespect you, and it's difficult. It was difficult, but like that's something that's also been hard. Not like you don't want to step on anyone's toes, but you're like, I always wanted to beat you, So
Right.
like, I want to beat you now, but it's a weird, it's like an inner battle that I've learned that a lot of newcomers into the professional world have, because it's like you looked up to this person so much, and it's like, and so that it's really hard. It's more emotional than anything physical. Now, other than like the time differences and the traveling and the long flights. So here's a little tip. make sure and get your medals, because you fly back with a medal and they automatically put you first class. So
Oh, nice.
that's kind of like my, oh yeah. So that's my goal. Cause like it's hard to be an athlete and flying economy in those 12, 13-hour flights, you know?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, yeah.
Nice. So the travel is tough. I was the thing that you said that impressed me was having handled these meets for a long time. We were talking about this last week. I had Willie Banks was on last week, and also I got Kevin Young, two former Bruin world record holders, and they were talking about that stepping up, you know, to the next level, like you
Okay.
said. You know, the first time, that whole, you know, deer in the headlights thing. It's interesting to have you say, you know, the NC2A is really not that big a deal, but then, you know, the Olympics, I was the same way. You know, I grew up watching the Olympics on TV. I watched Dwight Stones, you know, compete in the high jump. And then, you know, when I got to college at
One
UCLA,
second. You kind of, hold on. You were breaking up that whole time.
yeah,
You breaking up,
I see, I see a Longhorns in the background.
and you were breaking up. I didn't get to kind of, I don't know why. This is supposed to be a really good, I know. Where to go? Woo!
There we go. I see the Longhorns.
Okay, I think this is better connection. So can
Okay,
you repeat that? Because I wanted to hear what you had to say about
absolutely. The growing up and watching the Olympics, you know, as a kid, I watched in 1972. I was 8 years old, and I was watching the Olympics for the first time, and I saw a lot of gymnastics. The Russians were really good. They had this little pixie named Olga Korbut, who was always on TV doing her stuff. And then I was pretty young then. That was 8, but that was the Munich Olympics, which unfortunately, with the, you know, the Jewish athletes that were killed, and, you know, all that drama.
yeah,
So there's history for the time I was a kid. And then 76 was Montreal. And we had, you know, the US had great track and field teams, great boxing teams, you know, and I was in love with the Olympics from the time I was a kid. So I always wanted to do that. And I remember watching Dwight Stones compete in 76 in Montreal, with the, you know, the rain controversy and all that. And he wore his
yeah.
t-shirt saying, "I hate French Canadians." And then, you know, like this huge thing, you know, Dwight was never shy about, you know, stepping out and saying stuff. And then,
Right.
and, you know, and Bruce Jenner won the gold medal in
The
the
deck.
decathlon. And so,
Yeah.
you know, and he was on the Wheaties box. And so, you know, that was all I knew as a kid. And I was like, man, I want to go to the Olympics
Yeah.
so bad. I could taste it. And so, you know, getting to UCLA and getting a chance, I actually got to jump against Dwight more than a few times. And, you know, it's like you said, you want to beat him, and you also are like a little kid. I'm like, can I have your autograph? You know,
Yeah.
but I want to beat you.
Exactly.
So, you know, I
Yeah.
I get
Like
it.
Ivana.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, Ivana, when I first saw her, I swear on, I loved Ivana. I know she just changed her last name. But she's from Liberia. She's from not Liberia. She just retired. I don't know if we're clicking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
She's
sure.
from Serbia. She's from Serbia. She's like,
Mm,
she just turned 38. She's like one of the oldest long jumpers out here.
right.
But she, like, her and Brittany Reese, those two have been on the, I have studied hard, like hard. And like when I met them, I was like,
Right.
and like she laughed because like I guess she gets that a lot. But like
Right.
with Brittany, I felt really comfortable because like I don't I haven't personally met her, but like I've messaged on DMs before. And like when I finally met her, I was laughing and she was just like, "Oh, so you're like really like this in real life?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Because she says that she follows me on social media, and so like it's just funny. You know, it was just funny because like I was like, yeah, she was just it was nice. It was nice. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too, because I have my own personal theories are that, you know, the athletes do, everybody's got to go through that phase. I mean, you, as well as you adapted to these higher levels of competition, there's always a level up where you're going to have the deer in the headlights thing happen to you, right? Where it's like your first time, you're on a new higher level.
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my gosh. And I just remember again watching either world championships, Olympics or something, where it was either the Russians or the Chinese that had like these little gymnasts that were like 4'9", 85 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this girl's 21 years old and she's from Vladivostok. And I'm like going, there's no way that girl's 21. She looked like
No,
she's
she was probably
9
like
or 10,
17.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
they're like, well, that's the perfect age for gymnasts. They're light and they're fast and they're bouncy and they're this and they're
Yeah.
flexible. I'm like going, yeah. And by the time they're in their 20s, they're all beat up, but they would have them
Yeah.
at these incredible high
Exactly.
levels with all the pressure on them. And they were just like, it's just another world championships. Been here before,
Yeah.
and they just laugh.
Literally.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. And it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like, oh, that's like, I had no idea, because I know a lot of freshmen, they'll come to me with advice about like notes for like conference or nationals. And I'm just like, it's just another meet. But then you have these professionals going
Right.
to all these diamond leagues and then worlds and like, all these meets. And I'm just like, like about
Yeah.
to like have a panic attack. And they're like, calm down, like calm down. And I'm like, how are you guys so calm?
Right. So do you have a plan in place now? We're 2 years removed from the next Olympics. So you're talking about getting back to this next year and kind of getting back to normal. You said your schedule was a little off last year. You're going to get back to your normal training and go along. Is there
Yeah.
already a 2-year
Yes.
plan for the Olympics? What does that set work like?
Oh, of course. So, drum roll. As you know, I can't tell you who, but I am in the process of finalizing on my contract. Like I said, it's been a rough season,
Mm-hmm.
but luckily I've built my name and my brand, and also that speak for itself. So
Right.
luckily like things have worked out where I didn't have any issues finding a contract, and so that will be being announced soon. So stay
Cool.
tuned. But yeah, so it's been about finding like, also I'm in the process of finding a new coach, and it's just finding it's difficult because even though you believe in the people you work with, sometimes you need to be pushed out the nest.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the situation with me and my coach at Texas A&M, Coach Sean Brady. He is an amazing coach, and I still stand by it that he's one of the best coaches in the NCAA, or one of the best jumps coaches the NCAA will ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And um, but like, we both knew that the kind of goals that I have, so that we can get started, and
Mm-hmm.
and their goals match up with mine, and so it's about finding my team. I'm building my team right now, and my agents have been amazing.
Right.
Everything has been amazing. My fiance has been amazing, and so it's coming together. It was not the ideal transition, but
Right.
it's still a transition.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
tough, right? You got to put together. I'm just guessing because you hear this stuff all the time now. I didn't have an entourage because I was too low down the chain. So, like, I was my own sports nutritionist and what do you call it, physical therapist and all those kinds of things. But I'm guessing you've got a nutritionist, a guy who designs your
Yeah.
workouts. You maybe a sports psychologist. Although I don't know with you, it sounds like you don't need one because you were solid from the time you were so young. You said you're like, these big meets. What do I need a sports psychologist for?
No.
Go straight ahead.
No, oh my gosh, no. I've seen a therapist since my freshman year.
Yeah.
My Coach Brady, one time there was a really hard workout, and like I couldn't, I froze. I was like, nope, not doing it. He sent me straight to the sports psychiatrist, and I saw him ever since. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I panicked. I was like, because it was the 800 workout, and like I don't know what about. I think it was just a rough day, and then that's when I realized that, like, it's so much more than track. Like, yes, our bodies can do it, but if our mind and bodies aren't in sync, you can't force your body to do it. That's when you get injured.
Right.
So I learned a lot. I learned a lot my freshman year. I'm glad I did, because I would not be the same Tyra Gittens that
Right.
I am now. So
So now are you going to push full steam ahead with all three events still, high, long, and hep? Is that the plan?
so this has been a disappointment to a lot, but I've just taken care of my body. Like I said, I've been doing the hep my whole life, and that does come with wear and tear. You know, the NCAA's, it has, like, my 4 years in collegiate sports, it seemed like a little bit more than 4 years, due to
Right.
how many events I did.
Sure.
And so I have decided as a professional, just for my just so that I know I can have a long career, I'm just doing open events.
Mhm.
It was a tough decision,
Right.
because like I said, the hep is my favorite event, and it's my child, it's my baby.
Right.
But it's time to kind of zone in on 1 to 2, 3 events.
Yeah.
It's long jump for sure. High jump is still something that I want to do, but as a profession, like, the meet sometimes might not allow the schedules of the meets, and like what, like, the schedule of the actual meet, I mean, and not just the meet itself. Like, high jump and long jump might actually clash too many
Right.
times for me to even. It might not even be worth it. And I've just been talking to friends. You know, Javon Harris.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's been having that same issue, and so I've been having to think about uh that a lot lately. But so right now, I know for a fact long jump is it, and honestly, I want to get back into hurdling.
Mhm.
I know I have a lot of potential there. I don't know how to hurdle. I'm just fast, and so I really want to. I'm just curious to see what I can do as an
Right.
open eventer. So for right now, and it's going to be long jump and hurdles and maybe high jump, but that's kind of
Yeah.
because I'm struggling to say goodbye right now. So
Well,
maybe high jump.
you're in good company there because Jackie Joyner Kersey, who trained at UCLA while I was there, she was, you know, very good at both of those, the long and the hurdles, as I remember. I think she was more famous for the long and was, I believe, world champion in the long as well as the hep. But I seem to remember
Yeah,
some hurdles in there as well. Maybe not as much the hurdles, maybe it's just the long. I cannot remember.
yeah.
Gail Devers was the best.
No, her hurdles were still
Yeah.
extremely insane. She was really fast.
She was good.
Yeah,
I just don't remember how many events she did, you know, open. I remember the long jump was very consistently. She was always in the long jump. It was her and Heike Drexler were always going at it
long.
in the long.
Yeah,
And they were both
yeah. It
also.
was. I think it was long jump, triple, and I think triple jump was also a big one for her. Triple
Yeah.
jump.
Yeah. I don't think, yeah. Yeah. Jackie, I don't remember a triple. But anyway, yeah, that's not unprecedented. And like you said, from a what do you call it? A body maintenance, like you said, just
I'm sorry, that was not Jackie Joyner. I that was my that was Terry Harrison. That was not the same person. My
no,
bad.
no. There's a lot of great
I
athletes
was
out there
like,
that get confused,
wait.
right? I like the fact that you brought
Yeah,
up
my bad. I
Javon.
said it.
Yeah. Well, you brought up Javon Harris, and we were talking about that earlier. I said, you know, there's some young men, that, you know, that are, you know, he made it to the Olympic finals in both the long jump and the high jump, which hadn't been done in the U.S. since Jim Thorpe. You know, and Jim Thorpe was in the 1912
Yeah.
Olympics, right? So it's been over 100 years since somebody did that. And you know what I'm amazed at, this is a recurring theme, Tyra, on the podcast here on Raise the Bar. We've talked with many different people. I talked with Kevin Young just last week, and Willie Banks, and Doug Nordquist, and you know, these are Olympians and they love track and field and they're still all about it, even though they're, you know, getting older like me and retired. But we're talking about, why is track and field still not what it could be? You know, it's not as famous as it was. I mean, you've been over to Europe now. I used to hear that the crowds in Europe were amazing. The stadiums were packed. And now I'm hearing that it's
It
not as
is.
quite as
It's
good as it
amazing.
was. Is it still that way over there? Because I've heard differing
No,
reports. depend on where you are. So, well, it's wherever you are. That's where they're
Commonwealth.
all.
That's right. No, Commonwealth was absolute. I mean, I would, and I've been to big crowds like football.
Mhm.
No, the Commonwealth, they were people like piling over. Like so many people wanted to be there, and I guess it's because well, the queen and the queen she was not on site, but she was watching the meet, and
Right.
they really advertised. I really think the difference is just marketing,
Mhm.
um, and and it's just not a part of U.S. history
Right.
like, like it should be. You know, like for us, like football, soccer for us is like
Yeah.
that's in our blood, you know, because it's a part of
Right.
our history, track and field. You know, seriously, cricket, it's a part of like our upbringing.
Yeah.
Whereas American football, I don't really know much about it. You know, I'm like,
Right.
woo, I care because my fiance loves it. I'm in the background, like I don't know what's going on. So,
Right.
but so I really think that's the difference, and it's gonna be hard, and it might not. It might have been like really popular back then only because I think more people like please tell me if I'm wrong. What I think it is maybe that because more people like like competed in like multiple events
Mhm.
professionally. Like you know how some people like football players would come to track
Right.
more
Right.
or basketball, you know, like more like sports would blend more. So people's favorite, I don't know, football player would be like, oh, they're running track too. Let me go check that out. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But you don't find that often more because people are like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hurt myself. You
Not as
know,
much. Yeah.
I don't know if that's it or
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of specialization you're talking about now here in the United States. If you're a football player, the high school coaches like to keep their football players all year round. And the volleyball players because now
Yeah.
they have the school volleyball team and they have club volleyball, so they play volleyball all year round. It's like the coaches are like little Hitlers. They don't want to let them go do other stuff. Like when I was in high school,
Yeah,
we did everything. Whatever
everything.
sport was in season was what you were doing. So it has changed quite a bit in that respect.
And that actually could be a good point though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a
So
good point because
there's
like
that.
growing up we all did different sports, you
Yeah,
know. So
exactly.
yeah.
What I'm wondering
Well,
is, for multi-talented people like yourself and Javon, again, if I'm the meet director and I've got these young athletes that are super talented and they're doing things that nobody's done in so long, like with Javon, you'd be like, really? Jim Thorpe is a big name. Okay, this hasn't happened in over 100 years. Then let's change the schedule, right? Let's make the high jump
yeah.
and the long jump work together. It can't be that difficult. It really can't. You got to have somebody with a little bit of
It
vision
really
that goes, hey, let's tweak the schedule,
yeah, I agree.
you know?
But it's because if they like what I've seen, because like they try to do the different jumps, like they try to like spread it out. But then you have more long jumpers doing triple jump as well.
Right.
And so or the high jumpers or some you have more like you have more long jumpers and triple jumpers mixing.
Yeah.
And so they try to separate long jump and triple jump only because that those two events kind of go hand in hand
Sure.
in a way. But one thing about it is because high jump and long jump they're so different in their like techniques and like everything is it's the opposite. And
Right.
that was like a huge thing for me this year because like in as a hep I didn't really learn the technique. I learned to like work with it. So I even in long jump, my 696, I high jumped that. I was like, and load up. And I no
Yeah.
seriously, I had a perfect lean too. It's
Lot,
hilarious. I wish
lot of air.
but yeah. And
Yeah.
so now that I was trying to fix it, it like messed up a lot of things. I ended up long jumping and high jump, and it was like a lot of things that's been going on. And you know, talk to, I'm sure he would his process. It's quite confusing and it hurts and it does hurt your body. But like I said, it's doable.
Yeah.
Javon can do it. It's just it's more of a people sponsoring us, they don't really like it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So it's more of a you gotta choose one thing because like it takes you a high jump coach isn't a long jump coach unless you're training with a multi. Now I would benefit from that, but that's because I'm a multi at heart, and I don't care what
Right.
anybody says. Like I am will always and forever be a multi, and it's weird to say that I'm not, but like it's hard to find coaching because they want you to be in an environment that you're going to be successful, but like how do you find a high jump and long jump coach, and do we have to pay for both of those coaches, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of things that are outside our control, but like I feel like with the right people around you, and sadly he's not a deck or doesn't have that background, but there's ways to kind of get around it, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that. But if not, then I'm not gonna pitch a fit, only because I'm I'm still young. I just want to try. I want to try different things. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting you talk about that too, with the coaching, because I just found this out in this last year. So I've been trying to break out of a 20-year kind of a step back in my career, because I started coaching at the junior college level right after I got done with my career at UCLA, and did that for like 5 or 6 years, and it was fun. You get like a small stipend,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a quick season. It's like from January through. Nobody really had an off season, so I wasn't working, in the fall. And lots of times, I started working at the high school level, so I was coaching football, and so football would go through the fall, and then you'd switch over to track. So you could do that double. But it was like I wasn't thinking long term. I wasn't thinking like, I want to coach at this high level and do all these things. So it was like I
Yeah.
didn't realize at the time that, if you're going to become a coach, you need to start quick, and hit the ground running almost as soon as you're done
Yeah.
competing. And then, the other thing I'm finding out is that in track and field, and again, we're talking about this, but the money, there's just not a lot of money to be made there as a coach. Like when you want to step up to
Yeah.
this level, it's like I make way more as a teacher in high school than than these jobs that I was interviewing for this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they want 5 times the hours that I do put
Yeah.
in teaching, and pay me, almost nothing. So it's like, wow, this is, in any other
Yeah.
sport that I've been looking for, I get these things pop up like Glassdoor and these different job search things, and they'll go, hey, you want to be a girls softball coach at someplace I'd never heard of, and they're like, we'll pay you 51K. And I'm like, 51,000? I go, I haven't seen that kind of money for,
Who's that supposed
like
to
any other sport. It's like you could pick any sport and they're going to pay more. I'm just like, the track and field is still, on the small
Yeah.
end. So it's weird when you really love the sport and you want to do it at a high level. And like you said, you're an athlete at the high level, and you're like, okay, how do I get from here to here? How do I get that next step?
Yeah.
And is there somebody that can help me,
Yeah.
technique wise even more than what I've got already? So that's a tough call.
But I do have like this is what I've been thinking about. One thing about track and field is it's probably the least like it probably does the least the worst when it comes to marketing.
Yes.
Um and I think it's that and I feel like we have some of the most
Amazing
and
athletes.
I feel like we have the most personality across the board,
Right.
and it shows in our running, but like I feel like if we start to push and like from a young age, the athletes, like this is not you're not just run, it's not just about running down the track, it's not about jumping over the bar, this is about how you express yourself, and that's kind of what that's what I've lived by in track. Like anytime I did a head, that was my stage. Like that was I loved it. Like that was my stage, and you all sit down and watch,
Yeah.
and like that's a big part. Like no, because it's like you can't just think about your Nike or Puma or Adidas contract. I don't know, Bumble, or you just and
Yeah.
all those things, they're gonna want to come to you just not just because you happen to be an Olympian, but because you have a good following, like, and that's
Yes.
as a whole, if we all start like just showing our personalities and like being out there
Yes.
more, people will want to invest more money into our sport. But right now, no one wants to. No one, everyone's like, oh, I don't like people in my business. And I was like, it's not about that.
Yeah.
Like it's about being like you need to be in like you can inspire so many young athletes just by a post saying, today killed my ass, excuse my language, but like today got me. Practice was, I was dead. But you know what? I chose to do it. Like just something like that. And like, you don't know who you can inspire. And like people love
Yeah.
that. People want that because they know you can inspire. And it's
Right.
like, I really think that is like a really good way of helping bring money into the sport, because like that's what we don't have. We don't have those leaders because everyone is so to themselves.
Right.
Like track is like filled with leaders, like because we're all our own leader. Like it's an individual, you know what I mean? Like, and so I really feel like that would help.
Well, what you're talking about is something that Willie Banks mentioned, and Willie's podcast hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out soon. But he was talking about the fact that, that he was the one that developed the clap. Like he was one of the first meets.
Yeah.
Tell the whole story about how he did that. But it's like, Willie realized early that it's a show. You guys are putting on a show. You are entertaining.
Yes.
You are competing for entertainment dollars, which, depending on your market and depending on where you are here in LA, it's stupid how many people are competing for your money. It's like you've got, the LA Rams, LA Chargers, LA Dodgers, LA Lakers. You got the Kings, you got the Angels, and these are just pro teams. You've got USC football, UCLA football, USC basketball, UCLA basketball. You've got all these different things competing. Plus, you've got Hollywood, and if someone goes, hey, we could go to a ball game, you go, hey, we could go to a concert, hey, we could go to a museum, and it's like this constant competition for your dollar, let alone Netflix and everybody else who's trying to get you to stay home and watch TV. So, it's like this ongoing battle.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you're just out there, even if you're great and you're competing and you're winning, but if you're just kind of like, you just go through the motions. And some people are terrible interviews. Like when you put the mic on them and they're just like, you're like, oh my gosh, didn't anybody ever prompt you into how to talk? It's
exactly.
Like, I mean,
like,
you gotta take
feel?
those moments. Yeah, exactly. You gotta show up at those moments, but like being a showman and, doing what you're doing with style. Like I look back to, Willie was one of the first, and then FloJo, FloJo that won Olympics, she was the hair and the nails and everything was on point, and it was always like, and then when the cameras were on, then that's when all that stuff would come together, because you can't just look good, right? You still gotta come out and
win. You have to exactly
gotta perform, right?
And it's like that is you hit it down to a T. Like that, like that's all it is. Like just it's a show. You go out there and like honestly, and what I like from today and like now entering the professional world, I have noticed that because if me and then one of my friends, we jump the same thing, they look at your social media, they look at all of that, and they're like, they watch you and how you compete and how you engage with the crowd, and they would choose someone who's very engaging with the crowd and over the person who might have like a centimeter over me in my PB. Like it's like, even though like it's not about just being good anymore, because that being good, people don't know what they're doing when they come, what they're looking at when they come to me.
Right.
Like seriously, like people are just like, oh, that's why they just like to just see people have fun. They're like, oh my gosh. Like when I was in Europe, I had a crappy meet, but because I was like smiling, engaging everyone, and everyone just thought I was having the best time of my life, and I was just dying inside because I was jumping shit, like
right.
And so, but they didn't know, and like they like they came to take pictures, and I'm like trying not to cry, but I'm like, like
right.
it's about an experience, and it's like. But I still had an amazing experience, because like even though I had a bad meet, I had so much fun, and that's what people feed off of.
Right. Well, that's good showmanship, right? So you taking that and you're learning these lessons young, like you said, it's a real opportunity. The cameras aren't always on, like that's one thing we both know, there's a limited run, right? We just watched, I watched Serena Williams, and her sister play tennis this last week, both. Serena made it through a couple rounds and then lost in a match that I thought she could have won at 40 years old, and she's been playing tennis since who knows when, probably 6 when she picked up a racket. I don't even know. Tiger Woods started golfing when he was 3. And as long as they've been on the scene, how dominant they've been, there is a time when they will no longer be dominant, and that thing will come to an end. We're watching it, and I think we're milking it for all it's worth. But like Tom Brady, he's 45
Yeah.
years old. He's still playing football, right? Like, dude,
Yeah.
45. When is he going to hang him up? But you've got these athletes staying longer, but still, eventually, it's going to come to an end, and you got to
Yeah.
strike while the iron's hot. And then, what do you do, after, once that's
Yeah.
done? So do you have any thoughts about
That's
that?
why your degrees are
Right.
important.
Have you thought
Oh my
about,
gosh, of course. Because I mean, hello?
go ahead.
What you no, sorry, it was slow to
Yeah, well, I
come
I was
through.
asking if you had thoughts of what you. This is early because you're so young, so it's a really advanced question to say. What do you think about doing once you go to hang them up? Like, have you thought anything about broadcasting or what you would do after that, or any ideas?
Yes, actually, and that is exactly what I got my degrees in.
Right.
And so, like, my first one is leadership and development, only because I'm obsessed with development, and not just like on the track or in whatever sport. It's just like being a well-rounded athlete, being mentally sound, being able to recognize that you are not only a sport and that you are bigger than that, and that you have other assets to life.
Absolutely.
um, and then also communication and broadcasting. I did a course when I was here, Longhorns.
Right.
Broadcasting is something that I definitely want to do. I love talking, and I love my sport. I love I love all of the events in track and field, and so commentating is definitely something that I wanted to do. But also public speaking, or not even public speaking, just you know, um, my goal is, this is like the ultimate goal, and I really don't want to wait till like I'm done with track to start it, but there's just so much talent in the Caribbean,
Hmm.
and it's just ridiculous, and how there's just not enough. It's
Resources.
there's not enough feed, like resources, but also like there's not enough people coming down and looking.
Right.
And so what I planned on doing, because I do have amazing connections here, um, I wanted to start a track camp, but not just like a regular one. I want it to be where you meet it's a probably week or 2 week long, and I will send out scholarships for the athletes that I personally scouted throughout. And but I want to bring from different countries. I want to bring nutritionists. I want to bring sports science psychiatrists. I want to bring masseuses. I want to bring chiropractors. I want to bring
Right.
all of those things and different coaches, so that these athletes can be exposed to, if you're serious about this is how you need to do it. And
Yeah.
and sometimes in like half the day, a group would meet with all of the, like, they'll have like a class, so they're learning these things, and they're learning how to do this, they're learning how to take care of themselves without the appropriate resources. And then after, you're going to be trained from with some of these amazing coaches. And like,
Right.
and like every year I wanted to be in a different Caribbean. I want to start it off in the Caribbean. I want it to be in a different Caribbean island, but then I want it to expand, because like it's just like I've been blessed to be around an amazing group of coaches and trainers, and like my whole life. And
Right.
I see like my countrymen, and I see people from where I'm from, and it's like that could have been me if my parents just didn't like make a decision. And it's
Right.
like, it's just, I wouldn't say fair, but it's like, if I do have the voice and the presence to at least start something. And so it's just me doing something that I feel like should have been done a long time ago.
Right.
And so that's kind of like where my head is at when it comes to like
Yeah.
how do I say, leaving a mark, or like
Yeah.
like a legacy. But I guess it's not even about me. It's really just like, how can I make the sport how can I leave the sport better than how I found it? And so
Giving.
that's just kind of me with that. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hear that all the time. Giving back. I've had people tell me that, I like your passion for your sport, and you're trying to give back
Mm-hmm.
to it. It's like, so that strikes me as that. It's, as you're doing that, my brain is going to, on my Instagram feed, I'm constantly getting people sending me videos of them doing stuff. And sometimes you see, well-developed nations, and sometimes you see kids jumping on barefooted on dirt and it looks like they threw a couple of,
Yeah.
mattresses over here, and and they're like, they're asking you questions,
Yeah.
sir, what should I do to train? And I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. It's like, and part of me is like you, I don't know anything about India.
First, you need shoes.
I like, yeah, first you need shoes, and then we'll talk about
Yeah.
some lifting and everything. But it's like, literally, there's so much talent. I'm watching these kids, and I don't know whether it's just the area that they're from, or whatever. But I'm like, they're perfect high jump types. They look like they're 6 feet tall and like 110 pounds. And you're like, you're fast and you're light and you're flexible. So yeah, we'll get you some shoes and we'll go from there. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
an unbelievable amount of talent, like you said, and yet nobody's either taken the time or really toughed it out
Yeah.
and tried to go back there and
Exactly.
dig out those
Because
gems.
no one wants to
Awesome.
really develop athletes anymore. No one wants to develop anymore. Everyone just wants already good athletes and just kind of build off of that. But it's
Yeah.
like, that's how you build the best kind of athletes. And like, I'm one of those athletes. Like, when I came to college, yeah, I was a 185 high jumper, but like in the head, I was like below like I was bad. Like I was bad. My PB was like 5,400.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere near where
Yeah.
I ended up at. And like, Brady took the time to like break me down with all my bad habits. And like, like, it couldn't have been any, like, that is exactly what every athlete deserve. Like,
Right.
we all deserve that as a coach, and so,
Well, that's awesome.
as athletes, but the coach deserves it. Yeah, you get
Yeah,
me.
I hear you. I think it's amazing. That goal of giving back and getting down there. That's, and using, what you've been blessed with to, take it to the highest level. Hopefully we're talking about, Olympic medals, and you do all that and you get your platform, right? And you've got your social media and all that following, and you've become a spokesperson, and you're a great interview, and then you start broadcasting, and then now when you say, hey, Tyra Gittens is reaching out to do these camps down in in the Caribbean, and it's like, oh well, we need a catchy name, and you get some, you'll know a lot more about, I'm sure you probably know tons more than I did about, getting sponsors and, getting the people with money to back you, to do that. And, but what a great idea. That's the first time I've heard that, going back and reaching out in that area. Well, listen, Tyra, I know we're running up on our hour here. We have to do this again. You're just a joy to talk to. And you got to talk with Barb. I don't know, Barbara Bachaka. I know she reached out to you first, and she's running a lot of the podcast stuff for me. So, but we'll stay in touch and definitely do this again. And I need to know, where you're going to be competing. Are you going to be at Mount Sac again next year? I'm hoping. That's one of my favorites to go to in this area.
Oh yeah, that's very likely, because it's a free meet. Well, it's not. It's a very easy meet for me to attend. So most likely, yeah. So if you're going to be there,
yeah, that'd be great.
I'll most likely see you there.
Yeah, right. I was there last year. Barbara was going to compete, I think, against. They had her scheduled to go on Saturday, and then they bumped her back to Friday. So she jumped on Friday, and won. I think she won, but then Saturday, was Vashti, and I think all you guys jumped on.
Yeah.
Saturday. So she didn't get to jump. So
we jumped Saturday.
Yeah, I stayed around.
Oh, I did. Okay. I was about to say, like, she was there, and I was like, I don't remember competing against her.
Yeah, she went on Friday. They bounced her out of Saturday for some reason, and she jumped really well. I think she jumped. When she jumped 183 or 182 or something, and then Vashti.
Oh well, she did better than us on Saturday.
Yeah. Was a
weird, Saturday was rough. I don't know if it was. I think it was either the wind or, like, I think it rained.
Something.
Did it rain? I don't remember.
Something was weird.
The track was really, really, really rough. The track was hard as heck, and so it happens, but like
The guys
it
went
was just a
crazy
rough Saturday
on
for me.
Saturday. Saturday, the guys were jumping 7.6. Like the kid from SC jumped 7.6, and one of the guys was a Texas Tech guy who jumped 7.5.
Yeah.
Former Texas Tech guy on
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Saturday. So that
Yeah.
it was
He's
crazy good for the
insane.
guys. But yeah, I was just impressed with the place. They've really done a good job of remodeling Mount Sac, and it looks like I have heard that they've got Nike money running through there now, and the other rumor I heard was that they might want to move the trials there, which would be pretty amazing if they were able to get them away from Eugene. And if it doesn't happen by
Yeah.
2024, maybe by 2028, when the games are coming here to LA back again.
Yeah. I think that would actually be a really good idea. And I didn't know that they were going to try and move the trials there. That makes so much, it just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's closer to, and again, LA is a huge media center, as great as Oregon is. And I'm a UCLA guy, so
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the Ducks, but, they run a great meet and all that. And it's a great place. But, I would, as living in LA
They
now,
run a great
training here,
meet,
I would
but like you can't control the weather.
right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, back
Yeah.
in 84, you had the Olympic trials, and then we had the games here, and it was crazy. There's so many people running in and out of LA. It was just, there's nothing like it. All right, Tyra. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time. You're a joy to talk to,
Of
and the best of
course.
luck this next
Thank you for
season.
having me.
Stay healthy, train well, and have like you said, you learned a lot of lessons last year that I'm sure you'll put to work this year, your first year as a pro. And we're looking forward to
Yes.
outstanding. I'll be listening and watching all your stuff, so I know this announcement that you're going to make, so that I'll see what it is.
Right.
All right.
I know. I'm so excited. But thank you again for having me.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. Thank you, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. And there we go. And that was Tyra Gittens. She is a former Texas Tech high jumper, long jumper, and heptathlete. You heard her talk at length about differences between collegiate and elite level competitions, which she experienced last year. She had by her account, not her best year, but is ready to move up to another level here. It looks like she's going to be letting the heptathlon go and pursue the long jump and the hurdles, and maybe occasionally some high jumping. Very talented young lady. She got a big following on Instagram and other social media, I'm sure. We're looking for great things from her this next year. She had some great insights into our ongoing discussion of what is wrong with track and field on the national level here at the US and internationally. And she had some great ideas on, better marketing for sure. And she's a real joy to talk to. We got to see about cleaning up some spots in there. We had a little bit of a time lag issue, but and again, that was Tyra Gittens here on Raise the Bar with Troy Haynes, your host of Sky High and Fly Jump Camps. I want to make a couple of announcements for the Sky High and Fly. We're going to be starting up a high jump 101 class, Zoom class. We'll be announcing that and advertising it on Instagram and other platforms as well, where if you are a beginner, you have a son or daughter just started high jumping and they want to know what to do, it'll be an hour long or more, and cover as much as we can cover in that time frame. We will be having more podcasts come your way. We said just by the time these come out, I've had a current Raise the Bar with Willie Banks, formerly of UCLA, world record holder in the triple jump. Many great stories. Also, just spent about 2.5 hours talking with Kevin Young, another teammate of mine from UCLA, the former world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles. We hadn't seen or heard from each other in over 36 years or something like that. So it's a rather long podcast. We'll probably have to break that into a couple pieces. But until then, until you hear from us again, this is Troy Haynes signing off. Remember to raise the bar in all that you do, and we'll talk to you soon.